Fore play, presented by Barstool Sports. We are back for the second show of the week. I believe it is March 18th, 2021, Honda Classic Week. Then we've got match play, which Kevin Kisner will be defending champ because there was no match play. Then a couple weeks after that, it's the Masters. So we're getting real close. We got a great interview here with kind of an up-and-coming country music star who's kind of broken out very recently with a song that's got, I looked at, 60 million streams on Spotify alone. I think it's got 90 million total across YouTube and a bunch of other streaming services. Chris Bandi, who's the man, he's a huge golfer, got into it over the last go. And man, we hear stories about the grind. He actually told Frankie to fuck off at one time because Frankie was talking about pop punk and how they just appeared on the scene and play in front of thousands of people. And he actually told Frankie to fuck off.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're startling the audio listeners, the people that are listening through their earlobes to the show, as opposed to just watching us on YouTube. Because if you're watching us on YouTube, you know that we're in a studio right now, Trent and I.
Yeah, we are.
You know what this feels like?
What?
It feels like that SNL skit where they talk about my sweaty balls.
I don't know that one.
Okay.
I was going to say it sounds like ASMR compared to some of the other podcasts we've done.
That's a good point.
Hopefully we are protruding your interlobes.
Do you feel we are, and that was a good word that you used. Do you feel like it's a delicate dance when you tell these musicians that you are not a musician, you just work at a media company, and all of a sudden you put this stupid pop punk band together and you guys sell at Irving Plaza? Because that's how he felt in that moment.
Well, today was the first time I've ever done that.
I thought you've done it in the past with other people because you do try to relate to them being like, I've performed at Irving Plaza.
Yes, but I've never posed the comment or the question in a way that would actually make the person feel bad about that they had to do a grind to get to the stage that I was just put on.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Today, the way I explained it, halfway through, as I was like, oh yeah, we played Irving Plaza, we played House of Blues, we played all these places. He's like, dude, like I just got done talking about how I couldn't even afford a Coca-Cola at the bar the night before, and that I had to sleep in a room with 5 dudes and go from 4-hour road trip to 4-hour road trip. And I was like, yeah, we just kind of just tweeted out that we're going to be at the House of Blues and we sold it out. And we're not even good musicians. So that was super cocky, conceited, and actually made me embarrassed. I actually think I said that during the interview. I felt embarrassed.
When the people listen to the interview, they'll hear him say it, and he was joking, but there was a bit of truthness behind it, a bit of realness.
And I'm the first person to admit that, like, that's bullshit that we get those types of things. And I think a lot of the things we do at Barstool are in that same category. We just get to go play fucking Wolf Creek, and we get to play Pebble Beach, and we get to do all these things. And I honestly feel like I get a pit in my stomach half the time that we get to do these things. So I think it's good to talk it out. Because I feel embarrassed.
I think they call it imposter syndrome.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, half the time I'm embarrassed because I should not be playing fucking Wolf Creek.
I will say you're kind of our resident music guy though. Like when it goes down that road, and you're definitely not the last person to say like, well, I play the drums for this band. I feel like that comes out every time we speak with a musician who's also a golfer. Like that's just, you never keep that in the pocket.
Well, I want them to know that, one of their people are on the show here, I mean,
one of their people. Now you're like of their elk. This is getting a little ridiculous.
Well, I would have said that even when I was on the drum line in 7th grade going to Disney World playing in fucking competitions. Like I didn't need to sell out Irving Plaza with Robbie Fox and Roan and PFT to say that I was a musician. I've been a musician since the womb, I feel like.
Trent, you ever play any musical instruments?
No.
Riggs?
No. I did like in 7th grade. I played I don't even know what I played, but it was kind of mandatory music, and I was the second to last chair.
Okay.
I remember.
I played the trombone, which is very fitting.
Oh my God, you are a trombone, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That might be my new nickname.
Did you just speak when, like, if you forgot your trombone, did you just go,
Yeah, that's when you know how when the dogs end up looking like their owners? That's you ending up being that instrument.
Dude, the worst part was that I had to lug that thing like to and from school, and I would take the bus every day, and the thing's like 6 feet long, so I would just hold it and just like knock everybody in their knees down the little bus ride. Wasn't my favorite instrument. Played it for a couple years. Glad it's over.
Yeah, I just remember like in middle school, or maybe even before, I think it was elementary school, the music class, it was mandatory that you played the recorder, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that was really as far as my musical talent went. I just didn't have it. I don't have it.
Yeah, I'm same way. I think recorder was about as deep as I went. The entire interview is not that awkward, I promise. Just the moment where Frankie tried to compare himself to,
Yeah.
this Nashville very successful musician who debuted at the Grand Ole Opry last year. So listen to that. It's very good. It's coming up here in the second half of the show. Something that's not embarrassing is Owens Mixers. I got our little can right here, the Transfusion. It really is a beautiful can.
Yeah.
And we get it tweeted at us a lot. It's Transfusion Thursday when you're listening to this. So do yourself a favor. Pour a cocktail, show it to us, tweet it at us with the hashtag Transfusion Thursday. We'll pick the best one. You can win some stuff. It's very cool. People like winning stuff. And even if you don't win stuff, go get yourself some Owens Mixers, pour it in with your liquor of choice, and you've got yourself an elite cocktail, whether it's a Paloma for Mr. Trombone over there, whether it's a Transfusion for the rest of us, whatever it may be, Owens is your answer. They got great flavors, and a Transfusion is my personal favorite. That's why we put it in our own little can. It's got more and more stores. Every time we do this show, we work really hard to get it out there, distribution, the whole damn game. So go check it out. Amazon, you can get on Amazon and get it delivered to you very, very quickly. Kroger's, all these stores have it. So big thanks to Owens for supporting us. And again, you just pour it in with your favorite liquor and you got an awesome cocktail. It's very, very simple. Okay, Tiger Woods. We're going to start with Tiger Woods. Issued a very brief statement yesterday saying that he has returned to South Florida. He's returned home. He's recovering home. He thanked everyone for the support. You're welcome. And then he also thanked in a very, I thought, sincere couple sentences, everyone that took care of him in surgery and at the hospital of that. It can only be considered a very good sign. I think it's 3 weeks now after the accident that Tiger Woods returned home to South Florida. JT kind of alluded to the fact that he's happy. Tiger seems to be doing relatively well, all things considered. So a little bit of a sigh of relief, I would say, that Tiger's back home. He's in South Florida. It appears surgery has gone well. I think infection was a huge issue that a lot of people were concerned about when you're doing the type of shit that was going on with his lower body. I think we would have heard about it if he had a really bad infection. I don't know that he's out of the woods fully yet, but it sounds like in terms of,
No pun intended.
Nice. It sounds like in terms of your, hopeful wishes, it's going about as well as it could be considering what happened to Tiger's lower body.
I'm glad he's doing well. But these releases are taking years off my life. When I look down at my phone and it says Tiger Woods tweeted, it happened to us on the stream yesterday. We were streaming when this one broke, and you just look down at your phone. And we've talked about this before with these releases. I think it was when the crash initially happened and it was his first release. You can't see what it says. You just know that Tiger Woods tweeted, and it's going to be like the fancy version of a notes app. So you got to open your phone, you got to open the Twitter app, and then you just got to hope that it's good news. So and it clearly is good news now, which is great. But every time I see one of these releases, I just get very, very nervous. But it seems like everything's positive. He's out of the hospital. That's got to be great for him, back in the comfort of his own home. But yeah, it seems like things are on the up and up, about as up and up as they can be for Tiger.
How does it show up for you when you see it? Does it say like Tiger Woods picked Twitter? Because it's just a picture.
It says.
You have no idea what could possibly be when you have the phone locked.
That's what I mean. I have Tiger Woods. I think he's the only person I have notifications on Twitter. So when he tweets, it goes right to it shows up on my front screen, and it just says Tiger Woods tweeted, and then it has Twitter picked all the random numbers that it gives to it. And I'm just like, all right, now I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put in my password here, and I'm going to hope that Tiger Woods is doing okay.
And you're expecting it to say like the first line to be like, I've decided to retire from professional golf. Like you're very, you're open to the fact that it could be horrific what you're about to read.
Dude, 100%. And you just brought something to my attention that's how I'm going to learn when Tiger Woods retires. Because it's going to come from his mouth. It's going to come from his Twitter account. And I'm going to learn by looking at my phone and seeing it that Tiger Woods just tweeted a picture. And I'm going to be like, oh my God, what is this? And one day it's going to happen. One day it's going to be, I'm hanging it up. I'm done.
You know what's fucked up is he maybe has, and this is a stretch, he maybe has 5 more of those tweets until maybe we see one of those. Because even if he comes back and he's healthy and all these things, like he doesn't send out those types of messages very often.
No,
it's usually like a big moment in his life. So I'm saying like within the next 5 notifications that you get from Tiger Woods, you got to think one of those is a retirement.
So you think he's only got 5 big notifications left? So like 5 or less majors, 5 injuries, 5 something.
Does he send out a notification for a major?
No, he'll send out like, great win at the Masters. Like it was a great weekend.
Right.
It's only for big events. usually negative.
Yeah.
Is when he's putting these out. So I think 5 is right around the right number.
Surgeries.
And we got to hope that
That's
it's
an
under
interesting
5,
bet.
honestly.
Well, but you just said he's going to give a notification if he wins the Masters. So that's one major. Like if he wins the Open, he's
But those are usually tweets
It's
or like
different.
a picture or something. Like that dark blue background with the dash tiger underneath
Oh,
it. is
gotcha.
Tweet
usually like-
statement.
right.
He does a tweet statement.
It's like,
Yes.
it's thank you to my support. I will be back. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need any of those. And if we have 5 more of those, then we are on for a bumpy road ahead.
Dude, he's given us the biggest range of information in the last 10 years from those as anybody could.
Oh
Like,
man.
you should expect anything because literally, like when you open that up, he's given us everything with regards to those messages.
I mean, one day, hopefully, that we got to prepare ourselves for one day. One of those tweet statements is going to say, "I have registered for and am planning to start in the Farmers Insurance Open at the end of next month. Thank you to my doctors for getting me to this point." Like that. In theory, that will come in the next couple of years. And when that does, boy, oh boy, are we going to have a fucking field day on the internet and go absolutely crazy. You got to do everything in your power to hope that really comes, to hope that's a thing, because there's a chance that like, if that never comes, then we're in a position where we will never really get a positive Tiger Woods tweet statement until he retires.
Correct. Yes. I agree with that actually. But you hope that it's just the first one, right? Like he can't start getting trigger happy with these fucking statements. Like
No.
leave it to just the negative stuff and
Yeah.
the retirement. Like when we see that, we know. It's almost like when you see that notification pop up, you hang your head and you're like, all right, this is something here.
He's too
Yeah.
private to have those tweets be everything. I mean,
Yeah.
like there's no way. He's way too private for that.
Can we
It's,
talk about some positive Tiger Woods news?
Yeah.
PGA Tour.
Hold on, before we, I want to, but 3 weeks in the hospital is a long time, which only to me just justifies how bad of an accident it actually was. I mean, it must have been horrific.
Well, his literally
Yeah.
shattered both of his legs.
Yeah.
I know, but I don't know. That's just.
I'm
a
with you,
long-
though. 3 weeks is a long time.
Dude. You like
Is it though?
family members
think
that go to
so.
the hospital or something like that for something horrible, like a couple days where they have surgery is a long time. They're in there for 4 days, 5 days, 3 weeks, dude.
I guess it would be different if we didn't know how bad it was. Like we knew it was bad. We knew it
Right.
was really bad. It would have been one thing if they had just said like, yeah, I mean, he went tumbling off a cliff at 85 miles per hour, but he just got a hairline fracture in his arm or something. Then it would have been weird if he had then gotten out 3 weeks later, but they were pretty upfront, I think, with how hurt he was. So maybe 3 weeks isn't that
Also,
long.
who knows what a Tiger Woods hospital experience is like? It's not like your grandma and grandpa going to the hospital. It's
No.
probably has his own wing. He's probably doing a little bit of physical therapy in there, whether it's for his arms. And, he's getting
That's what I
moving.
was wondering, yeah.
So like those 3 weeks, who knows? Maybe they moved him to another area of the hospital to recover and just like hang out. Maybe family was able to be with
He
him.
did move to a different hospital during that stay. I know.
Right.
that.
So
Yeah.
like those 3 weeks to me that's just a very bland, like he was away for 3 weeks getting recovered from this massive, almost near death experience, car crash. I do want to bring up something that is very nice and warming to my heart, and it should be exciting for all of us. It's that Tiger Woods is coming back to the video game landscape. I don't know really how to put into words how important this is for us, in the golf media world, in the video game playing world, in the Tiger Woods fandom world. The fact that we have El Tigres, the man in red and black, the cat, playing virtual golf again, being a character inside a virtual golf game is so huge. We never thought we were going to get this again.
No, and they made a point in the statement to say that, yes, we're going to use his name. Yes, he's going to be in the game. He's going to be on the cover, all this stuff. But then at the end, they were like, he's also coming in as a consultant,
Yeah.
which is huge. For anyone who's ever played any Tiger Woods game knows that they're the best golf games that have ever existed. So you're now having the best consultant you can possibly have now join the 2K team. And the game is already great.
Yeah.
Like we play it all the time. It's very popular. We've got the Barstool Society that people play in all the time. It's like, it's already a fantastic game. And now they're bringing in the greatest, video game golf guy they could possibly find. So it's going to be fantastic.
Let me ask you this: you think you can actually be Tiger in the newer versions? You think that's going to be part of it?
So here, I want to dive and dip into this history of this video game really quick because I've seen we streamed last night. There were a lot of questions about it, and I'm going to give my honest opinion on what I think is going to happen with 2K. So the golf club was a video game. It was a very niche group of people that would play it, right? So like the golf club was out in I think 2016, and it was like a PC game, and everyone liked to use the builder, Butters Bay, Knives Creek. Like they had this simulation community that loved to, it's the same people like Za. Za likes to get on these trains and the train simulator, and he likes to run trains from not run train. That's
whoa.
That's
Did you just say Za likes to run trains?
Za just got a fucking, that's a ricochet shot.
It's a very big
You signed him up for something he's probably not, he doesn't want to sign up for.
He what is the word?
I don't want to speak for
What's
Za.
the word?
What do you
he drives trains?
Yeah.
He's the conductor.
He like to conduct trains on their journey from Boston down to DC. It's an insane thing. But there's this simulation community that loves to live worlds in the virtual reality. So the golf club was one of those things. They had this course builder, and they started to build a really big community, and then all of a sudden it got really big to the point where I started playing the Golf Club 2019. I'm like, holy shit, this is a really good fucking golf game. I know you guys were talking about it. I had people over my apartment. I'm like, dude, you guys have no idea. This is actually real. You can hit spot shots. You can hit bump and runs. It's real. You can actually shoot a 97 on a hard golf course. It's like real golf. So 2K then slaps their name on this iteration of the game, PGA Tour 2K21. They didn't really do a long overhaul of the game. It's basically PGA Tour, the Golf Club 2019, just repurposed with a new name, a little more licensing. They got JT on the cover, but it was one of those things where it's like, we want to be a part of this, but we're just going to put our name on it. We're not going to put a lot of money into it yet. Like, let's just see how this goes. Well, fast forward to now. I mean, Barstool Golf Society gets behind it. You got guys like the Apex Hound and Crazy Canuck. All these people are playing nonstop on fucking YouTube and Twitch, and it blew up like crazy. So now 2K releases yesterday or 2 days ago that not only are they getting Tiger Woods on a multi-year massive mega deal, apparently it's supposed to be, they are also acquiring HB Studios, which is this Newfoundland and Newfoundland's in Canada, right? British Columbia.
Canada, yep.
Maybe not British Columbia, but they're this small Canadian studio that built this golf club game. They just got acquired from 2K. What does that mean? It means that 2K now owns the rights to this game, and they have money to put into HB Studios. They are going to put so much cash into the development of this game because, let me tell you something, Tiger Woods is not putting his name on some bullshit ranky-dink fucking organization.
Correct.
He knows that this thing has a lot of potential. A lot of potential. I couldn't think of that word, so I looked at my pal Trent there for help there.
We got it.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the history of how we got here. HB Studios was this little fucking studio. Now I think they have a lot of opportunity here to put good graphics in, to get more players. So to answer your question, I know this has been a long-winded fucking speaking, and people are probably driving up the road listening to me talk this much.
You sound good though.
The answer I want to give you, Riggs, is I do think now with this ability to put a lot more money into it, you will get players with the swing. So you will be able to play with Tiger Woods. The one thing that people said they didn't want is a generic swing, right? Think about if you played Tiger Woods and they just said, all right, we're going to make him look like Tiger Woods, but everyone's going to have the same swing plane. That would be horrible. You want Tiger to swing like Tiger. You want Bryson to swing like Bryson. That's going to take a ton of time, money, and you got to get these guys synced up. I mean, think what NBA does. NBA 2K gets each guy in their release and the way they dribble the ball and how they look running down. Kevin Durant does the lanky run back. All that stuff goes into it. So, I mean, maybe not next game, but the future of 2K is going to be, if you're a video game lover, you should be so fucking pumped up that this just happened. I'm genuinely excited.
Dude, it's legitimately brought me back to video games.
100%.
If you took a break between, if some of the golf video games you were kind of like, nah, this is getting too hard. This just isn't what it used to be for me. I was that guy. And then with PGA Tour 2K21, I knew we were getting involved with it. And you had said great things about Golf Club 2019. And I was just like, I'm in. I'm going to try it again. And now I genuinely love this game. And so to have it now be put in a spot where they're going to pour a bunch more money into it, and it's only going to get better and better, you just got to hop on the train. If you gave up on golf video games a decade ago, it's time to get yourself a new system and jump back in, because this game is going to be worth it.
Yeah, now, I mean, they have the potential now to create a game, and they have all the tools. They've acquired everything they need to acquire. to create a game that is a combination of the Tiger Woods game franchise, where you have all the players, you can play with the players, you've got the swings, you've got with the graphics of today and with the courses of the video games today, where you can create courses, where there's thousands of courses in the game. Because the biggest knock on on the Rory game when that came out and a lot of the older Tiger games is that you're so limited in the golf courses that you could play. It'd be like 15 courses that you could play and that was it. And the beauty of the game now is, yes, it's extremely real and it is very fun to play. But the courses almost dominate because you can scour through there. People create them, make them insanely realistic, and you can play these awesome courses that people create. So if you can combine that with all of the incredible positives that were how we grew up playing golf video games, which were, again, being Tiger Woods, like the charisma, cutting to him, like walking down the fairway, the way he walks down the fairway, fist bumping, his swing, and they had all the other guys and how realistic their swings were. You have the chance to create the best video game for golf by far that's ever been created. And I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do that now.
Yeah. They really highlighted that Tiger said that he would be bringing his expertise to the game, because Tiger's one of those guys that he's just not going to put his name on something that he doesn't think is going to be successful, and it's already a really successful product. So yeah, and the way you can tell, and the listeners can tell, that we're really jacked up about this is 2K is not on the sponsorship or ad read for today. Like, this is not a sponsorship read. This is just us being really big fans, and that's as genuine and real as it gets.
So do you think it's a weird timing though for the announcement with obviously Tiger in the hospital? Do you think there's any like weirdness to that?
I would guess that they were probably going to announce it weeks ago and actually delayed it. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I would assume that too. Because what are the odds that like they announced it the day he got home?
Yeah, no, just interesting. And I don't know, my mind goes different places with that, of like him signing on, weird spot for him. Obviously this deal's been in the works, I'm sure, for a year's time, but certainly interesting.
Yeah, I bet too. I mean, knowing, because we're in that world a little bit of announcing shit, is like you kind of got to keep to certain schedules because you have other stuff to announce and you have things to work on. And like, there's probably phases of things that they want to release over the next however many months or year to like hype it up, that like they need people to know that Tiger's involved. So I would guess that they probably were ready to announce pretty close to when the accident happened, and then probably got to a point where like, all right, he's now going to announce that he's going home. We can announce it then. But yeah, I mean, ideally they wouldn't have announced it when he's got 2 broken legs and nobody knows if he's ever going to be able to play golf or walk again. Like, they probably would have rather it been when he was, still a favorite or top 20 favorite to win a major. So, but yeah, I mean, these things, again, with the announcements, because somebody messaged me and was like, do you think that Tiger signed on to do the video game because of his injury? He's not going to have any time now to play. And I was like, no, these things take months and months to negotiate, come up with. So yeah, I would guess they have a lot of other things they're going to release, and therefore they probably were like, we got to get this out pretty soon.
Yeah, there's no way that it could be timed up with the injury and like Tiger being in a weak spot, because it just takes, I mean, I'm sure to work with Tiger or get somebody to sign off. It's been signed off now for probably a couple months already, and this was the release date.
Especially Tiger Woods with a video golf game. He was the king of video game golf games. So to get him to agree to this with a whole new partner must have been a massive deal. Like, a lot of meetings and a lot of convincing to be like, hey, you are known as the EA Tiger Woods. What was the last one? 2013. So like, we haven't seen this guy in 8 years at least on a video game. And he's the biggest name in golf. So like, to get him to be like on a new team with 2K, that's not something that just happens, like they're saying, within a weak spot. That's something that happened maybe years ago.
I'm so fucking excited.
Oh my God. It's
I'm so excited for it.
It's going to be incredible. And I think people do need to be patient with it, because it's not, you got to think that this game is starting from the ground up with like a new acquiring of, 2K just acquired HB. And I think there's going to be a lot of things people want. And I think it's going to be like a growing process, but like the where it's going is going to be, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yep.
Especially with the new systems out too. Oh my God.
Last time you went and played golf, ladies and gentlemen, and you were hungry on the golf course, how many times has that happened, fellas?
Oh,
every round.
You know what it is? You know what the golf course does to me? There's a couple places that when I step onto some place, and there's two places I'm thinking of. When I go into a movie theater, I have to have popcorn. I almost go to movie theaters just to have popcorn.
Yeah.
And when I go to a golf course, like sometimes I just have to like eat a hot dog or something. You just get hungry. Like there's two places that just make me hungry, and one of them is a fucking movie theater, and one of them is a fucking golf course. It's the weirdest thing. I could eat a full meal right before a golf course. I still have to eat on the golf course.
You always get hungry in the course. Everybody does. You don't want to be out there frustrated. You get hangry. It's very, very, very annoying. You got to have snacks in the bag, and there is no better snack, ladies and gentlemen.
You're talking about Chef's Cut?
Chef's Cut Real Jerky. Now, I got a little tidbit for you. Use code CC4Play at chefscutrealjerky.com. You're going to get 25% off. This stuff is the bomb. It's fantastic. It lasts for a very, very long time, pretty much forever. You put it in your bag. It's delicious. I got different flavors right here. And I'm telling you, you're going to have a significantly better golfing experience when you get this stuff. Keep it in your bag, pull it out. Your playing partner's going to be impressed. You're going to be impressed. It's delicious. And I can see Trent over there is salivating at the fucking mouth right now.
Well, it is a great golf course snack, but I'll tell you what, Chef's Cut was nice enough to send me, and I'm sure you guys, a bunch of the beef jerky. That stuff ain't making it to the golf course. Okay. That stuff is like, I'll tell you what, it's 95% gone already. Like the only reason I still have a bag around right now is because I figured we were going to do a read on the podcast and I wanted to have some with me. Look how good that beef jerky looks.
Look how
but this
thick that looks. That's like
dude,
a
it's
meal
so
meal.
dude. It's honestly so good. And like I'm saying, I'm going to have to re-up my Chef's Cut because the stuff that I have in my apartment is already gone. And,
oh, it's fucking amazing. It's teriyaki, man.
Oh,
dude, it's just fantastic. I know you've been eating some of it too, Frankie.
dude, I legitimately gasped when I got home from our long trip. We got back from Vegas. I saw a big box waiting for me when I got home, and I opened this thing up, and it was, I don't know, 10 bags of jerky. I'm 4 bags of jerky down.
Yep.
Like I have 6 bags left, and I've tried everything. The 0 sugar one, which I thought was going to be gross. It wasn't gross. It was fucking phenomenal. I tried the teriyaki one, the original. I mean, everything, like you're saying, no matter how many days you've had it, no matter how many days the bag's been open, it still tastes tender. It still has juice in it. It's the best beef jerky I've ever had. And I was never like a stickler on beef jerky. Like you go to a gas station or whatever, you just pick up a stick of beef jerky. It is what it is. Now I'm Chef's Cut or I'm nothing. They have set the bar for beef jerky.
Couldn't agree more. Chef's Cut Real Jerky, founded by 2 caddies on the golf course who said, hey, we need to figure this out. We need a perfect snack, a little source of protein. It's made in the US of A. And again, you go to chefscutrealjerky.com, use the code, it's one word, CC4Play. CC4Play gets you 25% off. That's chefscutrealjerky.com. CC4Play, you get 25% off. And I'm not kidding, this stuff. It's just delicious.
Dude,
I'm actually, you guys figure out something to talk about because I'm going to eat this real quick. Oh, anybody catch the Masters documentary on ESPN? I think you guys were streaming, so you probably missed it.
No.
Oh, you mean like the Behind the Greens one?
Is that what it is?
No, it wasn't Behind the Greens, was it?
Oh, they're releasing one that's coming out, I think.
Yeah, I saw that. That's what I didn't know if you were alluding
Okay,
to
yeah,
that.
I thought you were making a little joke because I mean, the Masters
No.
came out with this incredible revolutionary idea to film them how they got the golf course ready and interview the superintendent and the fucking groundskeeper and all these people. They're putting in the flowers. They're interviewing the lady putting the flowers in on Magnolia.
It does look
Lane.
good.
It's
I got to tell you, Frank, that sounds like a good idea.
It's revolutionary. Yeah. So PGA Tour too did a behind the scenes at the Players Championship. It's kind of like Behind the Greens.
That's the joke we make.
Dude, can we send out a C&D? We always get C&D. Can we send out a fucking C&D? I want to talk. I want to send a handwritten letter.
Send out a verbal C&D
I want
right
to send
now.
out a handwritten letter. Maybe I'll cut my fucking thumb and I'll put it a piece of blood on the bottom.
This is
and
war.
I'll put a little smiley face in the blood with my nail. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the first person to ever make a video about a golf course. I'm just saying that like I had never seen a video preparing for a golf course, like a documentary style preparing for a golf course with superintendents in the middle of the night.
Beautiful drone shots.
It's just, it is what it is. And, you know, what is it? Imitation is the sincerest form.
Imitation is the most sincere form of
God,
flattery.
did I fuck that up?
You were close, though.
Jesus
But I
Christ.
think
could barely speak.
Is the Masters one that you're talking about, Riggs? Is that a different one?
So the one that I saw, and I missed the first like 8 minutes of it. It was only 30 minutes. So maybe the beginning of it, they were doing flowers and shit. And that could be the same one. It was called the one in November.
Yeah, that's the one.
About how, yeah, but it wasn't
Okay.
Behind the Greens. I mean, maybe
Good.
there was a small section of it, Frankie. So hopefully you can sleep tonight with your little Chef's Cut beef jerky all curled up in bed. But they had a lot of behind the scenes footage of the champions dinner where like Tiger and like Mark like couldn't find the dinner, and they were like, because it's in a different room, and it was actually amazing.
Oh, so this
like
is must watch stuff.
It was must watch.
I saw a
It was
30-second clip. It says the one in November, and it's these people putting in flowers all along the drive in, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this
that might have been that had to have been in the beginning when I just missed it, but it was like it was all of the lead up to basically to the Masters. It didn't even cover like the actual tournament. Like they kind of ended it right when it started and like when the shots were hit, but it was all about like the lead up to it and preparing for, you know, the one in November and how different it was. And it was cool. And Tiger was obviously the defending champion. So there was a decent amount of like behind the scenes Tiger content in there. There was Cameron Champ coming in, and like it was his first Masters, so they had him like coming down Magnolia Lane and doing like the temperature test and answering the questions about like not having had COVID symptoms in the last 14 days just to get like past Magnolia Lane, which was interesting. So just kind of the whole concept of them showing footage behind the scenes at Augusta is always going to be really cool. So guys, check that out. And
I want to see that. It sounds a little bit like the experience that you and I had with Mr. Gary Player, where remember when we were driving with him to the Champions dinner like that? It just sounds a little bit like that. And I obviously love access like that. And I want to see more like that. So this sounds like a must watch thing, especially if Tiger's more involved. Yeah.
It probably doesn't get talked about enough, Trent, that you and I rode and drove down Magnolia Lane with Gary Player, dropping him off at the Champions dinner at the Masters.
Some of the coolest video I've ever seen was that. Like when you showed me that I could not believe it.
Dude, I remember, we were just sitting in the back seat while they drove him and to drop him off at the Champions Center. Like it feels like it happened 100 years ago, and it kind of did, but it was, we stayed in the same house as him. We worked out on the front lawn with him. We ate dinner with him, listened to him tell stories. If you haven't watched those videos, you should. I would imagine they're on the Foreplay YouTube channel. You're gonna have to scroll a little bit. I guess you could just use the search bar. And you could, you know, like as a modern
definitely another
human
option,
being,
yeah.
I would do that.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're gonna be scrolling for a while.
Yeah, I would do the search bar.
But it's, I mean, that ESPN one sounds great, but there's also some Mr. Gary Player footage that we got. By the way, the reason Frankie just disappeared, and if you're listening to this on the podcast, you're not going to care about this at all. But the low battery thing popped up in the right-hand corner there, and him and I both froze because it's hooked up to the whole machine here. And if that goes dead, then we go dead. So Frankie's trying to figure out a charger situation. But to put a pin in that, I do want to watch that Masters documentary.
I would say probably like one of the first 2 or 5 videos that we have ever put on our YouTube page, I think, were those Gary Player videos. And we spent, I think we put like an hour's worth of videos out of like a part 1 and a part 2 of us just spending Masters Week at Gary Player's house.
Didn't when you first showed up, didn't he like do leg kicks, or wasn't he just like doing some workout and making you guys do it too, or kind of embarrassing you with the amount of push-ups he could do? Didn't he greet you with something like that?
Can't remember.
Okay.
All I remember is push-ups involved for sure.
We definitely did a workout, but that was like the next day, I think. But the one thing I do remember about getting there, and Riggs is definitely going to remember this, we got there and we could not find the house. We were putting it into the GPS and it was not showing up, and we were doing circles on this road. And at one point, one of us said, "Are we sure that this is real?" Like we were thinking that Riggs had been strung along by a stoolie who was like, "Let's make these guys think that they're going to spend a Masters Week with Gary Player. We'll make it all very official. We'll make them fly down there. We'll make them rent a car. Then they'll go out there and we'll put an address of a house that does not exist." And there was a 10-minute stretch in that car where we were going to have to call our boss, Dave Portnoy, and say, "We got strung along and we're not actually spending the weekend with Mr. Gary Player."
There is a few minutes worth of footage in that first video where you can see the fear in my face that I 100% believed at the time. Trent, I blew it. I got duped. I got trolled. Of course, we're not going to Gary fucking Player's house. Why would we go to Gary Player's house? We're in Augusta. And because the address his guy gave me was just off by like a couple numbers. And, you know, if it was like 1257 was the address he gave me, there was 1256, there was 1258, and there just wasn't a house at 1257. It was like the fucking train in Harry Potter, like 9 3/4 or whatever. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a thing. And I was like, "Trent, the house doesn't exist. the weekend doesn't exist. It's over. Like, it's just over, man. And then he called us and was like, yeah, I just gave you the wrong address. It's here. And we rolled up and Gary Player was like eating berries at the in the kitchen or something.
It really does speak to how preposterous the premise is that we were spending the weekend with Masters weekend with Gary Player. Luckily, we were not duped. And yeah, we had a delightful time. He is obviously a fantastic human
All
being.
things considered, I mean, even since I've been on the podcast and Lurch, like, that's the craziest thing Foreplay's ever done, right?
Probably.
Well,
We dropped him off at the Champions Dinner. We drove down Magnolia Lane. He had to get past security. He's wearing his green jacket. He was wearing his fucking green. It was
You
insane.
guys sitting in a car, driving down Magnolia Lane, dropping off Gary Player, not some ho-hum see you later golfer. Mr. Gary Player. You slept at his house. You slept with Gary Player, like in the same house.
Yep.
And you dropped him off at the Champions Dinner at Augusta National Masters Week.
Yep.
In his green jacket.
That has
You
to
were
be
rubbing
the
elbows
craziest
with a guy
thing.
with a green jacket on.
That has to be at Augusta, not like maybe like, all right, it would be crazy if you were at Mr. Gary Player's house in July and you're like, oh, look at this fucking green jacket. But you guys were you guys were there.
Yeah, we were fully.
That's probably the number one thing Foreplay's ever done.
And it came together last minute.
What's even close? Speaking with Tiger Woods.
Meeting Tiger, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, Gary Player, the guy hits the ceremonial opening tee shot at the Masters every year.
My argument is that
we were sleeping 5 feet away from. We could hear him snoring at night.
Rick sat down with Jack. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's
time.
a big one.
Oh shit, true.
That's a big one.
But I would say those are probably top three. Meeting Tiger.
But
I would still say Gary's number one, dude. The fact that you're driving down Magnolia Lane, which nobody on this earth really gets to do. With Gary
it's hard to get on that
green jacket.
Right, we were doing it during Masters Week. It was
my point in all this is that like people can meet Tiger Woods. Jack Nicklaus has done interviews before. I don't know that anyone's ever slept in the same house as Gary Player during Masters Week, ate breakfast with them, had berries, did workouts, talked about all his stories, probably sat around a fire, whatever the hell you guys did.
Yep.
Then drove him down Magnolia Lane and dropped him off like he was a fucking school child getting ready for fucking school at the Champions Dinner during Masters Week. I don't know that that's something that like one of our competitors, one of our competitors in the space. You know what it is? I'm eating one of these fucking mints right now, and it's stuck in the back of my tooth. That's something that like competition can't replicate. You know what I mean? Like everything else is like that's all right. That's the golf world. You can make a golf video. You can interview a person. You can't do that experience ever again. That's as crazy as it gets. That's as crazy as it gets.
Dude, he returned from Champions Dinner that night and joined us at dinner with his son, Mark Player, and told stories about what happened at the Champions Dinner that night.
He did, yeah.
10 minutes after he got back from dinner.
That's crazy. What were you guys doing when he arrived? Were you just watching TV, like just being morons? Like,
Dude,
were you like properly
with
like a tie on? Like, what were you doing with Gary Player?
You got to realize his son, Mark, is Mr. Dinner Host guy. He just lives and breathes to run the Gary Player brand, the Black Knight brand. So he's always inviting over like VIPs that they do business with and like telling stories. So we basically had like mini Gary Player hosting us at dinner at Gary Player's house, telling stories the whole night. So then actual Gary Player wearing all black coming home from the Champions Dinner joined us, grabbed another bowl of berries and sat down and just told stories for like an hour. And me and Trent, our jaws were just on the floor. Like, how in the literal fuck are we here right now?
What'd you guys do? Like, what'd you guys do that week?
What do you mean?
Like, so you guys put out the video with him, right? Like, you guys,
they gave us passes, yeah.
No.
Here's what happened. I think we were there early in the week, and then we flew back to New York when the tournament started, and then we just covered how we normally would cover it. We were there earlier in the week.
Okay.
Yeah, and we went in for the par 3 contest, and right when we arrived on scene at the par 3 contest, Tony Finau got an ace and then fell right in front of our faces and like broke his ankle in half.
That was that year.
That was
a bad one.
The Heats. Remember this? Remember this from The Office?
What the hell's going on? I can hear
this
it.
This is our office. This is fucking Barstool, $500 million company. The fucking heat rattles inside these studios, and what these studios are where the money is made, right? Like this is where the fucking big ass podcasts record their audio. You got Part of My Take right next to us.
Yep.
You got Caller Daddy behind us. I mean, these things are rattling like someone's panhandling for cash out here.
And it's funny because it happens all over the floor in the building, and it happens out where the content people sit, and we've all just accepted it. It just happens.
I said that today. I was sitting in the office and said, are we just going to accept that noise? Because it was crazy today.
Yeah, it's loud. But it's obviously more, it's bigger in here because we are recording an audio
it's
show.
Like a gnome is standing somewhere in the corner and just hitting a gong. Bang, bang. We're all just like, yup, that's the office.
We've been in this is the new Barstool office. We've been in here for years.
I love it. I love it.
It's the Barstool difference.
Yeah.
How many years has it been? How long ago was the old office?
Maybe two.
Probably.
About 2 years. I bet 2 years. Is that right?
I think it'll be 2 years in May. That would be my guess.
I got to give a shout out to this guy. I got a couple shout outs to give before we get to this guy. One is we did our whole Dad Bod Classic recap, and I didn't shout out POB, Pat O'Brien, who's a Dallas area golf instructor coach. Amazing guy, one of the nicest people on planet Earth. He was our fourth that day when it was Trent, myself, and Frankie and POB playing. He gave me a little tip, a little like swing tip that made me play so much better the rest of that trip on Friday night at dinner when we were playing together. And I said to him, I go, POB, you hit the ball really well today. He's like, thanks. And I said, what was kind of your swing thought today? Just because you hit it so well. And he's like, Riggs, come in the other room with me, and gave me like a full little rundown down to the point where somebody got a picture of, he was like down on one knee looking at like my positions with my arms, and helped me out big time. So big shout out to POB. Another one to 12-year-old Pete is turning 13 this week. So believe it or not, and this has happened before in Barstool history, I think 15-year-old Steve is like a fucking 25-year-old accountant now, but he still gets called 15-year-old Steve. But you won't believe it. 12-year-old Pete from Pinehurst, who Frankie and I have both played against now. He turns 13. So happy birthday to 12-year-old Pete.
We'll still call you 12-year-old Pete, though. That's the 15-year-old Steve. 15-year-old Steve is now 19, I think. And 12-year-old Pete will always be 12-year-old Pete. So
correct.
Happy birthday to 12-year-old Pete. And now maybe you guys have to have another match where you lose to a 13-year-old. Maybe each year he beats you in a match and you lose to a 12, 13, 14, 15.
Well, that's okay. 17, before we go down that road, you decided to play him and he gave you 9 shots and you barely beat him in extra.
Well, coming from Mr. Strokes, I played the game of golf the way golf has been fucking curated with Strokes. He's a better golfer than I am, and I beat him on a level playing field. I beat 12-year-old Pete.
I'm just clarifying that as long as you admit that he's better than
7 strokes or 9, yeah.
My thing going in was I was like, am I better?
I think it may have been 9. I think it may have been 9. But listen, I took him to a playoff. There was no strokes on 17, 18 or the playoff. And I beat him straight up, and I fucking looked down on him on 18. I said, I just beat you, little boy.
Frankie's blending everything. There was no strokes on 17, 18 or the playoff. You got 9 strokes before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk that shit, Frank.
Dude, the kid's like a 3 handicap. Like, what are you supposed to do?
He's incredible.
He's good.
No, I think
He's really
Riggs'
good.
point, Riggs has played him straight up and lost. You basically said, no, you're better than I am out of the gate, so I'm not playing that match. I'm going to play the stroke game.
Yes, and I moved him back, too. I think, Riggs, you played him at like 6,200 yards. I played him at like 68 with 9 strokes.
Anyways, 12-year-old Pete's turning 13. Happy birthday, 12-year-old Pete.
Sure.
But you will forever be, obviously, 12-year-old Pete. And then the last one I've got is this guy on Reddit, one of my favorite things I've ever read. This guy just posted on Reddit, and it's going kind of like Reddit viral. It's got, tens of thousands of likes. All he did was just started a Reddit thread, and he just wrote, after 32 years of golfing, I finally made my first hole-in-one. I don't have many people in my life, so I wanted to share it with Reddit. And when I saw that, I just laughed out loud that this guy gets an ace. He's so happy about it. He knows he's got nobody to really share it with, so he just logs into Reddit and he says, I know there's people on this fucking Reddit thing, and I'm going to tell somebody about my hole-in-one. So I appreciate the shit out of this guy, and big congratulations to that guy.
Congrats to him, but there's also a little darkness in that statement.
Ton of darkness.
I'm happy for him. I'm very happy for him. And I'm glad that the community on Reddit is congratulating him because he deserves it. But there's a little bit of darkness.
I would assume that he got an email from Reddit. Sometimes you write things on Twitter and Twitter emails you like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
That's happened to me after Islander games before, where I'm like, I just don't know if I want to do this anymore. And then Twitter emails you like, how are you doing?
Do they really? But it's obviously automated. But like, so
automated. But they're like, we saw this tweet.
Negative sentiment. Yeah, we're gonna respond and make sure this guy's okay.
Totally.
I actually thought you were making that up. I've never gotten one of those.
Oh man,
your Islanders tweets must get so dark that they're like, we got to check in on this guy.
I've gotten multiple of those.
I got to tell you, I don't know how automated those are. You might be the only guy who's seen
No, dude, no. People have gotten those before. KFC's gotten those a lot.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that happens. I'm surprised you've never seen that. You're Mr. Twitter.
Yeah, but I'm not like all that negative, really.
True. Yeah, that's my brand. But yeah, shout out to that guy. And honestly, more than half of doing things in the world is so that other people can see it. Right. So like this guy just wants people to know that he got a hole in one.
Yeah.
That proves that point where this guy.
But he's nameless. This guy doesn't have a name. It was like user 6310.
No, but he got hard on reading all like the great job. Like, where was it? How long was the hole? He just needs people to know that he did it. Cause like, why else do it?
36,000 upvotes. It has.
Yeah. That's what he was going for. And you know what? I applaud him. Great job on the hole one and great job on getting that clout.
I saw our boy Hardy got a hole in one the other day.
Oh yeah. We talked about that. We talked about that on the interview coming up.
Did we?
Before you jumped in. Yeah. We did mention. Okay. Where do we ever say where it was? Where it happened?
In Tennessee, I thought I saw on his I think he tagged where it was, but I can't remember the exact spot. But he's a good player. And we do get into that a little bit with Chris, but he's very into it, so it doesn't surprise me. Getting an ace is it's pretty cool. It's kind of like sex, and you really want it to last a long time.
Yes.
And I mean, if you got an ace, you want the ace to last a really long time, right?
Dude, I saw you.
You just want to keep making aces.
We watched you reach for that segue and just like try and pull it out of the corner of your brain, and it happened. I'm fucking proud of you, man. That was awesome.
Do you think I did it?
If you watch the video version of this podcast, and I don't know if we run the ads on the video version of this podcast, but he just looks for it. He's looking inside of his brain, and you nailed it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, guess what? Most people have tried different ways to last longer, Trent. Roman's going to be your answer. Roman swipes, they're fantastic. They're the secret to longer lasting sex. Roman swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective. They're easy to use. They're fast acting. They do not require a prescription. And again, you don't want to be that guy that finishes early and gets made fun of. You don't want to get laughed at. You want to be able to go to Pound Town for a long time, as long as you possibly can. Roman swipes are going to help with that. Come in discreet, unmarked packaging. And yeah, that's right. And you go to getroman.com/Fore. And you're going to get your first month of swipes for just $5.
Unmarked packaging, Trent.
That's why we both made that sound. Yeah.
I was going to say,
Lurch, you look uncomfortable during this ad read, I will say.
I think T-Daddy could be my help to the Roman of helping me last longer, because you gave a yes early when you were looking for that. That's going to help me last a little longer. And then just that little extra segment that you added on. I think, with that Roman, I think I'll be able to last forever.
How long did the Roman Empire last?
Oof. Riggs?
I'm going to say.
Can I throw out a number before you say it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say the Roman Empire lasted. Now, I could be way off here. I'm going to say the Roman Empire lasted 1,000 years.
So I'm going to say, I think Trent just looked it up. My guess is from somewhere around 70 or 80 BCE to around 280 or so, 300 AD. So I'm going to say it's around 350 or 400 years.
Okay, so I Googled how many years, how long did the Roman Empire last? And I just went to the frequently asked questions on the Google machine. 1,000 years.
No,
Frankie Borelli exactly nailed it. That's what I'm seeing right here.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's congratulations on a great guess.
Some, yeah, bro. Brother. Holy
Frankie.
Shit. Do we have a year's range there?
Began in 753 BC and lasted for 1,000 years. That's what it says. So whatever 1,000 years after 753 BC is.
I'm going to take it. I'm sure there's a lot that goes into that. Like, when did they actually have their control, their reign? Like, where does that start? Is there a guy named Roman that just started it? Right?
God.
Julius Caesar, the whole thing.
Amazing. That's amazing.
But all I know is that
I was going off Caesar Augustus, which was like 63. I'm just looking up this right now, which was like 63 BC. So I think you could get technical, but Frankie, I mean, you nailed that. 1,000 years.
That 1,000 years.
Fucking nailed that.
Well, if we're gonna go off that, then Roman swipes, man, that's a long time.
Yeah, 1,000 years.
Long
Long time.
laster.
She might get sick of you by that point.
1,000 years, yeah.
So I think they're saying that Caesar Augustus was the first technical Roman emperor. So I was looking at
You're
the
trying to
emperors
pathetically
instead
back
of-
into an answer here, and I'm gonna
1,000
say
years.
you're wrong.
I'm
Frankie
trying to
nailed
give,
it.
I said Frankie was right. I'm trying to give people
1,000
accurate
years.
historical data.
What was your guess, Riggs? You were throwing numbers and letters at me, and I kind of my eyes didn't know
300.
what was going on. Oh, three.
I
Okay.
s- Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Years off.
I was just off by. So good job, Frankie. Congratulations.
Well, I needed that win because I don't know where this is going. I'm assuming it's going before we talk to Chris Bandi, which, by the way, I don't know how much of the audio we're putting in from right when he got in, but I definitely called him Chris Brandy. And now we almost have to keep it in because if you listen to right when he pops into the show, I said, "What's up, Chris Brandy?" And then I saw, and I was just like, "That's just the wrong name."
The weirder thing might be saying the full name to him.
Really
it's
weird. I got super nervous. He popped in. It was just Trent and I was talking about the flowers in the room that I was in.
Oh,
And the audio is going to change significantly when you get to this interview as well.
Oh yeah, we should warn people about
Yeah.
that. But yeah, there was a moment where we almost had another Brian Baumgartner
Yes.
situation where it was Frankie and I. Frankie was talking about the roses in the room that he was sitting in, and then Chris showed up, and luckily Riggs showed up in under 10 seconds because we almost had another
I
situation.
said Chris Brandy for sure, dude.
Well, I'm glad you caught it now so that people will not
Yes.
laugh when they hear it and think that, you were wrong because you're right.
By
about
the way,
Roman.
if we're doing that, I want to be sure because I'm not a classic rock guy. Are we sure that "Knockin' on Heaven's Door" that's a Guns N' Roses song? That's going to make sense in the interview.
Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.
That's going to make sense when you listen to the interview. But I said that, and then I started thinking about it, and I was like, I hope that's right, because people, if there's one thing people get mad about, it's saying a band is known for a song when they're not known for that song.
Guns N' Roses, baby.
Trent,
Okay.
I think it's Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
Is it a Bob Dylan song? Who has the original though? I feel like Guns N'
This
Roses.
is what I'm
made it.
talking about.
I
this
think
is-
it's Bob Dylan. Jake from the Clouds, give it to us. Jake from State Farm.
Well,
Sorry,
I looked it up. All I did was type into Google "Knocking on Heaven's Door" and it says "song by Guns N' Roses." So I don't know. if
I'll take it. So if you're going to tweet at me mean things about who wrote the song,
No one's gonna say it was originally a Bob Dylan song because
have you been on the internet
Dude,
for
it's a
an
fucking
hour?
Guns
It
N'
is a Bob
Roses
Dylan song. It was written by Bob Dylan back in 1970.
come on, it's a Guns N' Roses song,
Dude, I'm telling you, I know. I'm not a classic rock guy, so I don't know.
Have you
And I
been
would.
on the internet, Frankie, is an all-time low.
It's yeah. Ow. All right. I just want to be sure that, and all of this it makes no sense to the listener right now, but it will when you listen to this interview.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes.
police
okay,
are coming
that
to
makes a lot
get
of
you.
sense. I can't believe that office has
You
such
hear
bad
this?
audio that the heater
Crazy.
bangs in the background and we can just hear the sirens.
Right, Rick and I are almost listeners right now about how bad the audio is with the little gnome hitting the metal pipe and now police going by.
Can you imagine that this is what happens in these studios? It's crazy.
Are we still doing the podcast right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
I couldn't tell if
That's
we
how
were
you know we're
using
vibing.
if we were using my throw to the interview or if we were still doing the pod.
I think we're still doing the podcast. Do you want me to throw it to the interview?
Yeah, you're better at it.
You could throw it. No, why don't you throw it to the interview? Trent?
No. I want you to do
No,
it.
I want tea. Everybody wants tea.
No.
Say
on, Trent.
Live from
Come on,
Nashville.
Trent.
And now coming at you live. No, I wish I hadn't done that. I didn't want to do that.
Do it again.
No.
Say coming at you
It's
live.
also it's not live.
Now, please enjoy.
Say a previously
Frankie,
recorded.
shut up.
Now, please enjoy this interview with Chris Bandi. How was that? I feel like this is also staying in here.
Really?
Just enjoy the interview, please.
It is. I'm on a fluffy pink chair. Look at this thing. Oh, Chris Brandon, what's up, man?
What's up, gentlemen? How you doing?
How's it going,
We're
dude?
doing well.
I was like, why do we have an extra person in here as I'm talking about?
I may have come on a tad too early.
Dude,
That's
usually
okay.
we're
You've
like,
got
shit up.
me and Frankie here who
We don't have it. We're waiting on our third. Oh, here he is.
I was going to say, I saw y'all with your interview with Kevin, I guess Brian. So I know how it goes if it's just you two in a room.
Luckily, Riggs is here now,
Oh,
so
God,
we can
here we
actually
go.
start the real show.
Oh, God.
What's up, boys? Happy Wednesday.
Chris, what up? Look at that rowback. That thing's fire.
I know, man. I had to wear something green today. St. Patty's Day. This is, I think this is all I've got.
I like it. Looks good. Looks almost a little Christmassy.
It is. This is the Masters. Their limited edition Masters pressing.
Okay. I dig
So
it.
I've never been to Augusta. This is the closest I'll probably ever get to Augusta.
Man, that place is sick. I don't think they're going to let us back. We talk about them a lot. How you doing? How's Nashville? Is that where you're at?
I am in Nashville. Yeah, it's been raining for what feels like a week straight. So I'm hoping the sun peeks out sometime this week, but you can never be sure. April, May, March is it's a crapshoot. So it's either going to rain for the entire 3 months or it's going to be sunny, and it looks like we're getting the rain part of it. So
I will say I follow, a lot of people, a lot of you guys that live out in Nashville, and all the videos people can't help but post when they're out on the golf course, and the weather just looks fucking miserable every time they post.
It's a little soupy. It's a little soupy right now. I don't know if you saw Hardy just had himself a hole-in-one the other day.
Dude, so I was in the car maybe 2 days ago, and one of his songs popped on, and it's a banger. And I texted it to him real quick, and he was like, "Thanks, man. I'm real jacked up and playing a ton of golf." And I looked this morning, and he has an ace. So I was like, "Yeah, you have been playing a ton."
He has been playing, man. He's a great golfer. I think he's like a 5 or a 6.
Dude, when we played all those guys down in Nashville, he was their ringer. He came out of nowhere, and we're like, who is this guy and why is he so good at golf? Like, he was fantastic.
And I don't know, did he even hit his driver out there? He's usually a 3-wood guy.
He was just pulling his 3 when he hits it like
But
low, hard.
It's a piss missile, man.
Yeah.
It goes like 300 yards.
Yep.
If I hit my 3-wood like that, I probably wouldn't play driver either.
True. No shit. He was like grinding over the putts too. I remember he was like he was Tiger. He was going like 360, stalking them, and he was scaring the hole a lot. He's a good player.
He is. I think I've played with him twice. But I started playing golf in 2019. So I'm pretty new. My first golf experience was a buddy of mine invited me to a web.com pro-am. So my first time ever playing golf was in a pro-am with Harry Higgs and people that are on the tour now. And I remember, I think that's when I know that's when I caught the bug. I was so bad, awful, terrible. And I'm just the kind of person that can't be the worst in the room at anything. I don't need to be the best, but I can't be the worst. So I remember when I got home, I went out, I started getting lessons. I bought a brand new set of clubs. The ones that I brought to the Pro-Am were, I bought it like Played Against Sports. They were like Sasquatches that were 12 years old. And ever since, it's like 3 times a week I'm out there playing.
Like the OG Nike Sasquatches. That's what you bought?
Oh yeah. That's what I had, man. But my buddy, he called me and he said, "Hey, we're going to the Bahamas for 4 days if you want to come play golf." I was like, "You can tell me we're doing anything in the Bahamas for 4 days, and I'm probably going to go."
Yeah.
So it just happened to be golf.
That's
Did
an
they have the
interesting
square?
thought.
Was it like the square heads on those Nike Sasquatch? Remember when they had those?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they were. That is what they were.
The worst sound a golf club's ever made is when contact was made with those things. It was like metal hitting fucking pavement.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And I never got that sound because I never hit them flush. So I had a lot of toes, a lot of hosel rockets, but that was the first time. And I think I didn't start out terribly. I grew up playing baseball and hockey. So like hand-eye coordination was always kind of there. So I think I started at like a 20 handicap and got it down to about a 13 now, which is
Ooh.
which is
All right,
trending in
well-
the right direction.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you're a St. Louis guy, so baseball and hockey, that's all we got. I'm a St.
It
Louis guy
is.
as well.
It is. Yeah, you're St. Chuck, right?
St. Chuck, baby, right off
There
of
you
like
go.
Zumbell and 70.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up in Chesterfield, so not too far from you. Right across the river.
Oh yeah, dude, they got the Top Golf now. They got a huge Top Golf over there in Chesterfield.
I know. I haven't been yet. I don't get home as often as my mom and dad would like, but and then now I think they finished building it right before COVID hit. So I'll get out there. We've got one in Nashville as well that we'll go to and have a good time at.
Top Golf's insane. I remember the first time I saw Top Golf, I kind of laughed and was like, it's funny, like it's decent at it. Top Golf is massive. People go like there's lines, you got to reserve it days in advance. Top Golf's insane.
It's nuts, but it's also so frustrating because you'll go out there as, you know, a golfer. You'll be like, I should crush this. And you'll have somebody that's with you that's never picked up a golf club, and they're just draining it in that first red hole, just picking up points consistently. And you're like, fuck this, man. Throw your club down, get out of there, start drinking.
They'll just like dribble one off the thing and they'll be like, oh, I made contact. And it bounces and rolls into like the 10-pointer. And you're like,
yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? I just hit a 4-iron that barely missed. It's like, infuriating.
It is.
Infuriating. All right, we're in the middle of the interview now. I think we're probably going to put all this in if you're okay with that, Chris.
That's perfect.
We're joined now. Lurch has jumped in. He was probably slinging drones somewhere. So I hope it went. Did you sell any drones, Lurch?
That was actually a VR call. So virtual reality training for those officers, but nonetheless, pretty good.
Hell yeah. So Chris Bandi, up and coming country star. He's in Nashville. He had his debut at the Grand Ole Opry last year, which I want to get into, but huge golf guy, as you can tell. So as soon as I jumped into the Zoom, we almost had a Kevin from The Office situation where I saw Frankie, Trent, and Chris were just talking, but it's going smooth thus far, I would say.
Well, Trent and I are in the office, and we have limited space somehow in this $500 million company office. There's no rooms to record podcasts, so I'm in a closet right now with just a million roses. So Trent and I are doing like a whole buffet of bits. I'm like, oh, it's the roses. And then Chris just joins. I was like, oh no, here we go again. And it was that awkward intro where we go into it.
I think y'all played it off very well.
Dainty little Frankie with some roses behind him.
He only got a taste of it. Luckily, Riggs joined, I'd say within 10 seconds.
Yes.
In the office, Brian Baumgartner got 5 to 10 minutes of it, and it was a nightmare.
What was the question Frankie asked him?
Wait, what was, about the universe, the ever expanding
Yes,
universe?
he had no idea how to answer that, and I'm glad that I didn't get that question because I would have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
What do you think about the ever expanding universe, right? Like people say it goes on forever.
I walked myself right into this one, didn't I?
It continuously gets bigger and bigger, and it expands. So my question to Brian was, what is it expanding into? And I think that kind of broke his brain.
I think it did limitless space.
It's got to go.
I don't know.
Keep in mind, this question has broken the brains of the smartest like physicists in the history of the world. So now you're asking fucking normal guys to jump on a golf podcast. Probably not going to get great answers.
Right.
I have no idea. I have no idea how to answer that question. I need to visit Denver or something before I can even start talking about it.
There we go.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Real good idea. So Chris, obviously, you're a musician. The world for the last year has been shut down, very little or no shows. What's the vibe right now with the Nashville crew for, those of you that kind of make your living going on tour and doing shows? Feels like a lot of the company or the country is reopening or getting closer to reopening. So what's sort of the general vibe on doing shows like in Nashville?
Honestly, these last few months, it's been really hopeful. We've seen dates come onto the calendar. We're getting back out. We're on tour with Matt Stell right now. So we were on tour with him last year when the world shut down, and we're just kind of picking it up where we left off last year. And it's been awesome because last year we had no idea when we would still confirm shows, I guess, like throughout the entire year. We had shows through December that were we were closing those contracts in June, July and stuff like that, knowing that kind of they were going to fall through. But now these shows are actually playing out. We're getting to travel, getting back onto the road. I think this summer is when it's going to be, balls to the wall, full touring. I think probably late summer, maybe August, September. But everything's hopeful now. We know that shows are being booked. We're signing contracts. So it's a lot more hopeful this year than it was last year.
Dude, there's going to be just a ton of pent up energy, right? Like people are excited to get out. I'm sure you're fucking sick and tired of just sitting inside and like playing music for yourself and for like, so
and then those so Instagram lives. You can only do so many Instagram lives until you're burnt out. But yeah, we played a show back in St. Louis earlier this year, and that was our first show in 10 months. And like you said, people were so pumped to actually go out and have that interaction and see other people and see live music that we sold the show out. And I don't know if that was my doing or just the fact that people wanted to get the hell out of their houses.
Dude, I feel like you could play anything and you'd get a standing ovation. Like anything.
Absolutely.
Everyone's just going to go nuts.
It was funny. My buddy that was playing guitar for me, because we hadn't played in 10 months. I was like, I'm going to screw something up. I'm going to forget the words. I'm going to forget something. And he's like, they don't give a shit if you mess up the words, if you did anything. They're here to hear music, and they haven't done that in 10 months. They're all shit-faced out there right now. You haven't even walked out. They are not going to remember this at all. I was like, all right, yeah, I guess you're right.
Protecting my family is my number one priority, but I want to do it safely, in all capital letters, safely. People at Taser believe that safer self-defense is better self-defense. That is true. That is true. What are we supposed to walk around with, like guns? Can you imagine if we're walking around with, like, no, trying to protect your family, trying to be smart, trying to be safe, trying to have a little self-defense. The answer is the Taser Strike Light, which is a rechargeable, high-powered flashlight that can repel an attacker through its electric stun feature. Frankie, what do you got in your hand right there?
Put it next to the mic.
That's it, baby. I think that was close enough.
I think that's close enough, man. I don't want to. I mean, this thing's really locked and loaded. I got it in my hand. It's got a nice girth to it. Everything about this Taser Strike Light is something that I want in my possession. It's something I want in the females in my life's possession. Because, it just keeps them safe. It keeps them feeling like, nothing's going to happen to them when they're walking down these dark alleys and they're going to their cars. And even when I'm going to my car, I got a feminine forehead. Like someone sees me, they're going to be like, what's that going on? Like they're going to approach me and I'm going to turn around. I'm going to be like, don't, dude, this thing's fucking legit, man. No.
I just want to say, I want to feel the weight to it. Yeah. What? It's got a good weight to it.
It does have a good weight to it.
This thing's very impressive.
I want this to end a certain way so bad.
No way. I will. No, I'm
put it down.
I'm putting it right in the middle.
Listen, this is not a toy. All right. So
right.
For talk to us about what this thing really is.
It's serious business.
Because this is your company.
Yeah, that's the consumer grade model. So that's for personal protection, right? I mean, if you want to get somebody who shouldn't be close to you away, that thing will do the trick. Yeah, exactly. I don't think much more needs to be said. If you want to stun somebody and have them keep their distance, that's an incredible.
What will happen to a person if I do? What would happen to Trent if I do this to his neck right now?
I actually have never tested that device out, so I mean, I don't know.
Okay,
so let's find out.
No.
Can I do your arm?
Absolutely
through your
not,
shirt,
dude. Absolutely fucking
what
not.
What do you really?
No.
No, we shouldn't do that because honestly, it probably works. That's why it's a good product.
I know it. I know it'll work.
It works.
The Taser Strike Light is available without a permit in most U.S. states. You get the Taser Strike Light at taser.com with the promo code Fore, and you're going to save 15% now. Again, at taser.com, promo code Fore. That's TASER.com, promo code Fore. Restrictions apply. See site for details. That's taser.com, promo code Fore gets you 15% off.
Dude, it looks like something. It looks like something that would be in Batman's belt. It's legitimately. It's so well made, and it's got the black and yellow, which I think is why I'm thinking about Batman. And it also just has a lot of Batman qualities to it. But the fact that this thing could go in like a regular person's purse, like as they're walking out of a movie theater, and they could repel a bad person with just the touch of a button. this is a quality product.
Yeah.
It's a quality product. It's really cool. And it's got a flashlight on it. All right, cool.
Taser.com, promo code 4 gets you 15% off.
Seen a
You
lot
should,
of comparisons in all walks of life right now, like in all different with sports and music and movies that, in 1918, I think that was the swine flu. Then the Roaring '20s came right after that, which is some of the best times of having parties and people just wanting to go out and like live life. And everyone's saying now it's like, it's 2021. It's kind of it's our own version of like the Roaring
20s. Absolutely.
It's a little history lesson from Frankie.
Wow, Frankie history.
Yeah, just dropping a few dates.
Well, yeah, I mean, 1918. I always remember that because isn't that the year that the Titanic sank? And then also that's the last year that the Red Sox had won the World Series before 2004.
This is
believe
Wikipedia.
Titanic was
There's no way you had that off the cuff.
You're going to have to fact check this.
Yeah,
a live fact checker.
1918 is a number that all Yankee fans know because we used to chant it at every game. Like 1918, it was a fucking year. So you knew a lot about that year, and I'm pretty sure it was the year the Titanic was either built or sank.
I think it sank in 1912. I'm pretty sure the Titanic sank in 1912.
Yeah, I got 2 fact checks for you, Frankie. I think you said the swine flu was 1918. It's actually the Spanish flu. I'm Googling this, so I don't know all this. And then the Titanic sank in 1912.
What? Oh, fuck. I thought
the swine flu was when I was in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, you just off by about a century. I would say that I think World War I ended in 1918. So that could be a big one, right?
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Definitely the Red Sox, their demise was in 1918. I know that for a fact.
The point still stands that you just made a great general historical sort of comparison.
There were some facts that were
impressive.
There were some minor details,
mundane details.
Details.
Hey, 1 for 3 isn't bad.
No,
it's not. No, it's not.
That's a good batting average.
If this were like a college paper and your main thesis was, then you just go back and fact check those couple things, but your thesis remains strong.
Correct.
Yeah.
There are people that listen to this, and as I was confidently saying those words, they're like, wrong, wrong, and then just all 3 just wrong.
So Chris, another thing was the Grand Ole Opry, your debut last year. Walk us through that, because I mean, I'm sure you're nervous, you're excited, something you dreamed about forever. Walk us through what that debut was like.
Yeah, man, it was. That is the pinnacle of all country music. I mean, when you move to town, that is the stage to play. And I remember I got the call and my manager told me, hey, we booked your Opry debut. And I think my heart just kind of sunk into my stomach. I didn't even know when the date was or anything. And I was already so nervous. And we did it February 25th of last year. So everything was as normal as could be. My family came down. My girlfriend's family came down. My drummer, who grew up every Saturday listening to the Opry with his grandpa, his mom and dad came down. So we kind of made a family affair of it. And I remember when we showed up, everybody was so thankful. We did a whole YouTube segment debuting at the Opry type thing. And I remember everybody was so thankful that I was there. And I was like, why are you thanking me? Like, I'm nobody. I'm thanking you for letting me like come enjoy this and do this. And everybody was just so welcoming and so nice that it kind of took the nerves away for a little bit. But I remember going backstage and like walking out to the stage, and there's this circle that is right in front of the microphone that everyone you could ever think of that has played or dabbled in country music has walked out to. And I remember they said my name and I was walking out there, and I did not want to walk into the circle until it was time to walk out there. And everybody kept telling me to enjoy it and take it all in for what it's worth and just breathe, which I think I had a tough time doing that day. But I remember walking out there after they said my name, and I'm pretty sure everybody in the first 2 rows could just see my heart like pounding out of my chest. And so I walk out there, look at the circle, look at the crowd, kind of take a deep breath and walk into the circle. And it was funny because all those nerves just kind of went away. I don't remember any part of playing, but I do remember all of the nerves just walked out or just went away. I looked at my drummer, he kicked it off. And the next thing I remember, we were walking off.
Man,
Awesome.
that is awesome. Yeah, you weren't. I, I I'd be curious. Like, I feel like when you're really really good at something, it's less nerve wracking. Like we were talking about. Who was the pitcher from the Dodgers we were talking to about this?
Burrell? What is his name?
Walker Bueller.
I
Bueller.
think it
There
was
it is.
Walker Bueller who made the point of like nervousness level is actually like a result of the math between your actual ability and your nervousness level. So he was like, if you're really good at something, but you're also really nervous, you're actually not as nervous as if you're pretty nervous, but you suck at something, because then you have every reason. So it's like we talk about on the first tee a lot, where it's like, if you have a horrible golf swing and you're pretty damn nervous, well, then you're really nervous because you know you don't have the
it's going to
ability.
emphasize that.
Right.
Right. So I'm always curious, like for somebody, doing something that is the pinnacle, the peak, you don't want to mess it up. Always curious how nervous you actually are in the moment or right when you get ready to go, or if you're pretty confident, because that's probably the reason that you're there.
See, that one, I was very, very nervous. But like a regular Friday night, Saturday night show, that's what we've done. I've done that for the last 10 years. So that doesn't really get me. But just the fact that this is like the church of country music and all of these people are diehard country music fans, that's where it's like, you can't screw this up. They're going to throw tomatoes at you.
How different is that performance from your typical performance in terms of just like even logistics and vibe, right? Like when you're playing at a bar, or even like at a smaller venue, you kind of have your routine, everything's done. How like different is the actual act of performing at the Grand Ole Opry versus your typical performance?
Night and day. So I was lucky. You're allowed 2 players from your band. So I brought my drummer and my guitarist. But everyone else is a Opry musician. They learn your songs literally, 20 minutes before you go on.
That's
And they're such good musicians that they don't mess up. They know everything. They know the hits. They know it down to a T. And so it's always weird playing with somebody new, because I know that these guys are professional. They've been doing it for so long, but you're still thinking like, oh man, are they going to screw something up? Are they going to come in at the right time? Are they going to do something? So it was that, and you run through it one time and they're good to go. And it's just, it's night and day. There is chilling backstage, but the whole time you're sitting there like shitting your pants, because you're about to walk out to this, like I said, the church of country music. So I'm excited to play it again. But I will never forget that first time doing it.
Yeah, there's
So
not
playing
any
with
like
an orchestra
chilling.
that, you can't mix around the song at all, right? Like you can't add riff, you can't like extend a song. Like if you want to do a little breakdown and get the crowd into it, like they're not going to know where you're going, right? So you got to kind of play it as the song is made.
Yeah, you start and stop. There's no ad-libbing, no improv at all.
Wow,
if you forget the words, you're on your own out there.
Yeah.
Man, that is so nerve-wracking. It's like you said, you could chill beforehand, but it's almost like when you give a best man speech, everybody's hanging for like the 4 or 5 hours before the reception after the ceremony, and they're all having a good time, and you're just over there like, don't fuck it up. Don't fuck up the whole wedding. Come on, man.
That is exactly. It's like, imagine, this might be a bad comparison, but imagine you walking out to the first tee at Augusta with a gallery there. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it, you still have nerves. You're still going to be nervous walking out there.
Nerves make you feel alive, though, I will say.
Exactly.
Positive.
You get that adrenaline rush.
Right.
That's why I bet on sports.
Exactly. Riggs was talking about a best man speech. I remember I was a justice of a peace one time for my buddy's wedding. Oh boy, is that nervous. It's very funny because like at one point I looked at my best buddy. I was like, now you have the ability to like kiss your bride, and like having that power, like there's little jokes that you can make about it. But certainly before, there was like some pressure on the family if they thought it was the right decision that I was doing it. And I was stepping up there like, I need to nail this thing because I could be in a bad spot and I have to hang out with everybody after. So I need to make sure that we're on point here.
Did you nail it?
Yeah, I nailed it, and actually got
Good.
a compliment from the groom's mother. And like as soon as she gave me that, I was feeling good because she was like whispering to the grandma, like, I don't know if Ben should do it. And I'm like, oh my God, Miller, who's my buddy. I was like, how did you put me in this situation and not have all family buy-in? Like, I was also part of like the groomsmen party. So like they're all drinking before we go. And I'm like, dude, I want water. I want coffee. I need to be on the ball for this whole experience.
Yes. You get
Chris,
the shots afterwards.
Oh yeah. They were flowing after that. Then we were dancing, having a good time, and we were on cloud nine. But until then it was a sober party.
Yep.
Chris, can you talk to me about Man Enough Now? I kind of it's an absolute banger, and then all of a sudden it's like it's this song that propelled you into this world, isn't it? Like, I mean, you look at the downloads, you look at the streams. I mean, it's way up there. It's skyrocketed. Is that something that, you know, like, just talk to me about like how it got to that point and like now how you're following that up as your career goes on?
Yeah, so we there's a saying in Nashville that 3 minutes can change your life, and that completely changed my life. I wrote that with two of my best friends in Nashville, Jason Massey and Jason Duke. And I moved to Nashville maybe, a year before we wrote that, but I never wanted to do anything outside of music. So when I moved to town, I had built connections with bars that I played when I was in college. So I could go either back to St. Louis or go back to Oxford, Mississippi, where I went to school. I'd call them up and be like, hey man, I need to pay rent. Can I come play Thursday through Saturday? And they'd let me come down, make money to pay my rent. And then I'd come back to Nashville and write and just try to do that. So I was traveling. I was gone almost every single weekend when I first moved to town. And I got lucky. I got to meet the Jasons. And I was thinking about a girl that I'd dated in college that I made a lot of mistakes while I was dating her. I was just a dumbass kid, and thinking if we had met a little bit later in life, if it would have worked out differently or if we would have still broken up. And I brought that title, Man Enough Now, into that write. And it was one of those songs that just kind of fell out in the room. And I think we were done with it with an hour and a half. And I think the longest time it took in the room was trying to figure out if we say shit or not, because we knew that radio wouldn't play a song that said shit in it. And we put it out. And at the time we were playing all these shows, but didn't have anywhere to send people other than like, hey, go check us out on Instagram or Facebook and follow us. So we knew that we had to get some music out into the world. And we put it out with no plan really, other than just have people listen to it after we played a show. And people started listening to it. They started streaming it. They started sharing it with their friends, coming to shows with signs that said like Man Enough Now, and requesting it and yelling it back at us and singing the song with us. And that was that launching point of knowing that it's working. Because, we had played 4-hour cover gigs for 3 years and it was kind of getting redundant. And this is the first time where people are actually wanting to hear our songs and sing them back to us. And yeah, it completely changed my life because it got me my publishing deal, which meant I got to call my mom and dad and say, hey, I'm getting paid to write songs, and take a little stress off of them, not thinking I was just bumming around anymore. Got me my record deal. And so it completely it didn't really open the door. It kicked the door in for me, which was incredible.
It's almost like being a rookie on tour and stepping up to Augusta National, winning the fucking green jacket, like just winning the Masters, right? Like your first year on tour, all of a sudden you have this massive, massive, massive accomplishment. It comes with all these signings and deals. And now all of a sudden your career is just, all right, let's go see if you can do it again, or if you can win other tournaments, other majors. You know what I mean? It's got to be so cool to have that already in the bag.
Oh yeah. And it was awesome because people that like I kind of looked up to when I moved to town, they were seeing this success and they'd reach out to me and be like, hey, how are you doing this? Like, how is this happening? And I'm like, to be honest, I have no idea.
You're like 3 minutes, dude. It just 3 minutes.
It was just people liked the song. They kept listening to the song, and it all just kind of grew from that. And it was funny because, I mean, I was so broke when we put that song out. I specifically remember being at a bar in Nashville and checking my bank account on my phone to see if I had enough money to buy another beer. Like I remember being that broke, and all of a sudden we put this song out and it completely changed my life.
It's amazing. I mean, it's the power of music, right? Like you took this idea that pretty much every person in the world experiences. Everyone has the thought of like, man, I'm such a better, like more impressive person now than I was at X point in my life. And like, even if you're a guy or you're a girl, you're like, everybody has thought that, yet like putting that and conveying that through music or through art is not easy to do. But if you do it well, it could connect with so many people. And that's like, you were able to do that. And that's just like, it's, I'm sure at the time you were just like, yeah, it's another song. We'll see what happens. But looking back on it, it's like, I can look at it even and be like, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. And it was one of those things, like, just like you said, it's the girls can listen to it and say, I dated that guy that was the dumbass. Or, and then they know they get some satisfaction because it was nothing that they did wrong. They were just dating a guy who was a dumbass at that point in time. Or you're the guy. And I mean, I think every guy has had a relationship like that, where they just didn't take it seriously, did some dumb shit, and it didn't work out. So both sides of the spectrum, and that's what really I feel like captivated everyone, because they saw it from both sides.
It's amazing to talk to someone who's dreamt for something and then has like accomplished it, and then hearing about the experience of realizing that you were accomplishing it, that like something was popping off. Was there like a moment where you were like, you know what, I think we're successful, like I think this is actually a real thing?
Man, when I started seeing the shows that we were getting that I had dreamt about playing, and the opening slots for these artists, that it was putting me in front of such a better audience than we were doing. And when we didn't have to play 4 hours of our own or of cover songs, that's when I was like, okay, people are coming to hear us now, as opposed to just coming to a bar on a Friday night to get drunk because that's the only bar in town. That was when I first started to be like, all right, we're doing it. We're actually making it.
Yeah, I could imagine you're probably pretty sick of playing cover songs at some point.
Man, there's a time and a place for cover songs, but we were playing 4 hours a night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And the way, like when you're starting out, you're driving, it's the same for these web.com players. And I guess now Korn Ferry players. I mean, there's no money in it. You're doing it for love of the game. You're grinding it out, sharing hotel rooms with 5 guys, driving from city to city. So there is, that correlation between golf and music as well. And yeah, it was, for a time, that grind was waking up at 7 a.m., driving 4 or 5 hours to the next venue, setting up, playing from 10 to 1 or 10 to 2 every single night, then waking up at 7 to do it all over again. And the covers, it was awesome, but that's not why I got into music, to play, 4 hours of someone else's songs.
Right. I'm sure all those experiences, though, you wouldn't trade them, because now that you're on the other side of it, you got to be so much more grateful for what's going on in your career now.
Absolutely. And you learn so much doing stuff like that. When I remember my first ever full band show was in St. Louis, and it was at this place that I had played for 3 years at that point, but it was just all acoustic. So our first full band show, we get there and I'm like, we're going to, rock out. This is going to be awesome. My family was coming. I invited everybody I knew. We sold it out. It was going to be the biggest show that I had played to date. We get there and we're loading in, and the guitarist that I had at the time, he hands me his guitar case and he goes, we have a problem. And he hands me his guitar case and I pick it up and there's no guitar in there. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I'm trying to figure out, we're calling every music store in St. Louis, trying to figure out how we can rent one, how we can buy one. I end up buying a guitar for him to use that night. We get back, I take a shot. I'm like, all right, we're good. Crisis averted. It's going to be awesome. We go out there. First song crushes. Sounds awesome. Second song, my drummer puts his stick through the house snare. I'm like, all right, we've got another problem. We'll figure this out. I had planned on doing a couple of songs acoustic by myself. Later in the set, we bumped those up. He goes out to the trailer to try to get his snare. And I'm on my like fourth or fifth song and he hasn't come back yet. I'm thinking, what the hell is this kid doing? Like, where are we right now? He comes back and walks to the front of the stage and he holds up the key and it's snapped in half.
Oh.
So the key to get into the trailer is snapped in half.
Oh.
And I don't know if anybody noticed this, but my face when he came and showed me that, it was rough, man. You could see how pissed I was.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, he comes running in with the snare. A buddy of mine cracked the lock. We got in, finished the show. But things like that, now I know what to do when something goes wrong. We know how to cover our bases when, some adversity is thrown our way. But without that experience, I mean, I would have no idea what to do.
It's so funny. Barstool Sports is such a fucked up world. In the fact we have like a house cover band, and listening to you, and we've talked to so many musicians about the grind it was. Like, we have 4 idiots here. One guy plays the bass, one guy plays the guitar, I play the drums. We have a battle rap champion who's our singer, and like, we just showed up and we played cover songs. We sold out like Irving Plaza, House of Blues outside Fenway Park. We were at like the Blue Note at Mizzou. Like, listening to the grind that it takes, like, it honestly puts it into perspective, just like how hard it is just to get into those types of places. I remember when we were on one of the stages at Irving Plaza, I looked around, I'm like, dude, like I've been playing drums in my basement. Like, I never even like thought to even do anything with music. And the fact that we have like people at a venue where like Green Day played one day was like so, and on my level, it's so much smaller because that's not something we were pursuing. It's just something we were blessed with being able to do. But for you, like, I can't imagine that feeling of finally being able to like get into places and do shows where it's like, all right, like, this thing's actually starting to rock and roll, instead of doing bars. And like you're saying, you're staying in rooms with 5 guys and you're going 4 hours, 5 hours. It really just puts into perspective how hard of a grind it is. Because sometimes, like, even here, we take it for granted. Like, oh, we just show up and we just fucking play music. And then you got guys like you that are literally looking at their fucking phone to see if they have enough money to buy a Coca-Cola. Meanwhile, they're putting out a song that has 70 million downloads on fucking Spotify. They have real talent. It's just, it makes me feel like an idiot, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
first of all, fuck you. But it really is a grind. And the Blue Note in Columbia, we've played there several times. It's an awesome venue. But moving to town, it was kind of funny because I went to school at Ole Miss and I was playing every single night, Monday through Saturday. They didn't serve alcohol on Sunday, so the bars were closed on Sunday. But every single day I was playing music, and we were packing bars every single night. So I thought moving to Nashville, I was like, I'm going to get a record deal. I mean, I looked at it like, yeah, I know it's hard, but look what we're doing in Oxford. Moved to Nashville, right. And it's like, no one gives a shit about what you did in Oxford, Mississippi. They want to see what you're doing now. And so you kind of have to start that entire thing over. And I thought, you'd be playing in a bar one day and, a record executive's mom's, grandma's, neighbors, sisters, cousins, girlfriend's friend was going to see you. And next thing you know, you've got a record deal. I learned very quickly that is not how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, man, I wouldn't, like you said, I would not trade the grind for anything, because there's been so many memories and fun times and stuff that I wouldn't be doing today had I not done that.
Totally. I almost wish we had the grind. Like, that feeling, because like we just show up and then we leave. It's like that feeling of fucking like actually accomplishing something instead of just getting it. Like I feel like we got it handed to us. It's just I'm almost mad we fucking did it. Like I'm almost angry that we fucking played those shows.
Well, Chris, you said something interesting earlier where you said music's the only thing you ever wanted to do. And I think that's important, where you almost sounds like you didn't really have a backup plan. And if you want one thing, like that's a singular mind focus is probably the best way to accomplish it. Like if you had thought like, oh, if the music thing doesn't work, I'll go do something else. But to have it only be music, I think that's a big key in the success.
Yeah, it's one of those things everybody kind of jokes that if you have a plan B, go do that.
Right.
You know, because the grind is a pain in the ass. Like it is what it is, a grind. I mean, there's nothing pretty about coming up in music. You miss weddings, you miss funerals, you miss all your friends, you miss golf trips with your friends. There's my fraternity brothers go on a baseball trip every single year, and I've missed every single one because we were playing shows. Yep. And so if you can do anything else, people say to go do anything else, but it's when you can't. When you, like, I grew up, I was the weirdo in kindergarten when the teacher would ask you to draw what you wanted to be when you grew up. People were drawing firefighters and doctors and, you know, policemen, and mine was always like a rock star. So it was something that I just kind of knew I wanted to do. I had no idea how you go about doing it, but I knew that it's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Were you always into country, or did that kind of like become a part of your lifestyle as you got older?
So my mom listened to nothing but country. So when she was driving me to school, I listened to nothing but country music. My dad listened to like 90s pop and rock music. So I kind of had that. It kind of depended on who was taking me to school that day on what I was listening to. Then, as you know, every kid does, you hit an age where your parents listen to the shittiest music ever and you can't listen to anything that they're listening to. So, I mean, in St. Louis, Nelly. I had country grammar when I was like 10 years old and absolutely knew every single word to country grammar way before I should have. And went through a like Blink-182 phase, Fall Out Boy phase. And then Dave Matthews, all that stuff. That was the first time I picked up an acoustic guitar, was listening to Dave Matthews and like Matt Nathanson and stuff like that, OAR. And I remember I was riding home from football practice one day, and the kid that was taking me, he was a year older and he would take me home from football practice. He listened to country music, and the song Summertime by Kenny Chesney came on. And I was like, wait a minute, what is this? He's like, Kenny Chesney. I was like, this is country. This is not the same country that my mom was listening to, you know, driving me to school. I love this stuff. So ever since that day, it's been country music. And then, you know, living in Oxford, we'd have guys like Luke Bryan and Eric Church come through, and going to their concerts when the first time they'd come was 250 people, the next time 500, then the third time they were selling the thing out. So, and I don't know if they have any music other than country music in Mississippi. So it was kind of what I was, you know, around at that point in time. And that's when I knew that Nashville was going to be the next move. And it was country music since I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, that's really interesting how it all molds together. Do you take like that history of liking different music and put it into that one genre?
I think so. I mean, unintentionally, subconsciously, I think we all do. And that's why music is always evolving. That's why you're always going to have that's not country argument, or it's because we didn't listen. I mean, we weren't strictly locked into country the way that like a Garth Brooks or a Travis Tritt were when they were growing up. We listened to everything from Jay-Z to the U's to Garth Brooks to Kanye West. I mean, we had everything on an iPad, literally right next to us. Right. So subconsciously, all of that stuff kind of flows into everything that you write as an artist.
And to be honest, like as a Northeastern like listener of music, like I've never really was into like the Garth Brooks, like, or the heavy old school country music until like this new wave, whatever you want to call it, of like alternative country or maybe like dark country. You got guys like Coulter Wall and stuff. Like we're always talking about these different styles of music now, where it's like, holy shit, like this is actually cool. It's got a different beat. It's got a little bit of a mixture between like this new school shit and the old school stuff. So I really, really am a big fan now of like your style of music and that whole new wave of the people that are now in Nashville now.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. It is, I feel like genres are gonna go away because I mean, you'll always have that hard line, but they're kind of blurring so much, especially with features and all of this stuff. You could have the biggest pop artist with one of the biggest country artists, where now music is at our fingertips, where you don't have to be, like I said, locked into one certain genre. And you can kind of, I like to write the music that I want to write and have people figure out what box it belongs in. I don't write a song to say, this is straight down the road country music. I just want to write what feels good and figure it out from there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what makes it yours too. What you say,
exactly.
I was gonna say the one that sticks out to me is didn't Chris Stapleton come out with that song with like Bruno Mars
and Ed Sheeran?
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran, like that one was where it's like, all right, anyone can do anything at this point. If Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran, and Chris Stapleton are all combined to put out maybe the best rock song of that year.
Oh yeah, like it's the Wild Wild West.
It really is. That's awesome, man. I that's got to feel so freeing also, because I would assume back in the day, people probably felt like they had to be conformed to a box, right? Like if you are an old school country artist, you're not going to do that because your fan base is diehard there. They're gonna be like, what the hell is this? Now music's so much more free. It's like, I almost want to see you take risks. I want to see my favorite artist take risks all the time.
Absolutely.
And put out different. So, man, that's got to be awesome to be like in this. It's such a new style of music. That's got to be so cool to be in the thick of it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like I said, though, I still am rooted in country music. So, and what brought me to country music in the first place was the lyrics and the storytelling and how true everything was. And so I do try to stick with that, but we can get a little crazy with production and stuff. Throw a 808 in there and see what happens.
Yeah. Awesome.
Have you, now that you're on like the backside of it, and like past that grind where you're just out playing other people's music, have you walked into a bar and heard your song being played?
I have in Chicago one time. I think we were eating at one of the first places that we actually ever played, and it came on the radio. I get pictures now. So this is the first time that we've gone to like terrestrial radio, which is awesome because I'll get texts from people that I haven't talked to in years, and it'll be a picture of them listening to their local country station, and it'll be my song. So that's always cool to see. I haven't had an experience where like I'll be driving and it comes on. Okay. But I have heard it on the radio and stuff, which is, I mean, it's pretty damn cool.
I see the smile on your face. That's got to be just a crazy experience. Like I can't imagine what that feels like. And then also the joy that it brings others. Cause like when you see your buddy take a video and it's you on the, like they're fundamentally enjoying that song. And it's bringing, for me, music always just brings me to a place of like memory that I had a good experience with, for whatever the case. And,
absolutely.
And that's the same boat, I'm sure, for them.
For us, like whenever we do something, we have to like put it out and be like, watch this. And for them, you could be driving to a fucking gas station and someone else is actively going and grabbing it, putting it on their station, be like, hey, listen to this song. You could be in another state, another city. That's got to be such like a holy shit. First of all, how do they even have that audio? Like I would be thinking like, how'd they even get that? And second of all, why are they actively playing it? I didn't ask them to. They're just doing it.
Oh no, we love every play that we can get. So play it as much as they want. But I remember the first time that I heard it on the radio, we had just left a radio station in California. We do what's called like a radio tour, and we go meet, because country music is still so relationship based. So we'll go out and meet program directors, DJs, and all of the people that work at these radio stations. And you'll take anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to do this. And we had just left a radio station in California, and we were driving to another radio station, and a song comes on. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that song. And I kind of turn it up and I'm like, holy shit, that's my song. That's why I knew that song. So that was a pretty cool experience. And this radio tour, we actually did the radio tour September of last year through December. And a lot of stations, wouldn't let us in because of COVID protocol and stuff like that. But I got to play a lot of golf with a lot of these program directors. And usually these meetings are very sterile. You'll go in, sit in a conference room, play 3 songs. Nice to meet you. Maybe go to lunch, and that's your meeting. But getting out there playing, 18 holes with these PDs and getting to meet them on a personal level as opposed to just stopping in and saying hi. I'd heard some horror stories about Radio Tour, and mine was incredible. Here's a golf story for you. We were playing in North Carolina, and my radio rep is a terrible golfer, awful golfer, plays a very heavy slice. So he will line up about 90 degrees left of the target and just hope that it's going to come back. So we're off the tee. I'm probably 150 yards further than him on the left side, kind of by the cart path, left side of the fairway. He's in the shit over here on the right. And I'm thinking the green is straight in front of him. And I'm thinking, I'm out of harm's way over here. There's no way anybody's going to hit me. I've only seen him hit a 5-wood, a driver, and a putter. Those are the only clubs that he'll play. And he's probably going to get pissed that I told this story, but it's kind of funny. So I'm thinking, man, I'm out of everyone's way. I'm sitting in my golf cart, just looking at my phone, waiting for him to hit. All of a sudden I hear somebody yell. And as I hear him yell, I kind of turn around and the ball flies through my cart and hits me right in the chin. And I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. If you hear Fore, just hit the deck.
Oh boy.
Holy shit.
Jesus.
You're never out of harm's way. Because I'm the guy who slices off the tee, and I know that you just got to warn every single person within a 3-mile radius that something bad could happen.
Yeah, it felt like I was sitting at a bar and somebody just came up and sucker punched me. And I think I was more surprised than anything, but I'm glad that I have this, a little bit of padding. It bounced. I gave him a great lie. I'm not gonna beat around the bush, but
Jeez.
Do you have like a welt? Would you have like a bruise, a welt on your face?
Oh yeah, it swelled up a little bit, but you couldn't see anything. It was you couldn't see. Like I could have been in the most pain. I had a golf ball sized welt right here, and no one would have believed me because you couldn't see it.
That's good. You got to have a beard, man. Beard goes a long way.
Yeah, I know all
How long
about
have you been
that.
growing that thing out?
Man, I think I started growing it like late 2019, and I get like it trimmed every couple of weeks. But with quarantine, I can't go get my beard trimmed because nobody will let you take your mask off. So I've kind of been trying to figure out how to trim it myself, but I'm a little nervous that if I'm going to go too far right one day and then, have to even it out. And next thing you know, I'm going to look like Frankie. So
You don't want
That's
that.
the problems I have, trying to even them out on both sides.
How was
I love it.
how seriously did you take the beard trim before your debut at the Grand Ole Opry? That had to be like nobody can mess that thing up.
I went the day before in case somebody messed it up that I could like get it fixed. But I'm lucky. I go to a guy that's right up the road who's been cutting it for, at that point, like 6 months. So he knew what I liked, knew how to get me looking good. So
You're like, all right,
yeah,
buddy,
I was very nervous.
one.
I couldn't have a bad haircut, couldn't have a bad beard trim.
I always
but
thought about that with weddings. You want to get it on the day because your hair's never looked better than the day that you get a haircut. But also you want that like 24-hour buffer where if something goes wrong, you may be able to go fly someone in or
salvage it. Yeah.
Get surgery.
Fly someone in is an outrageous stance on it. Just an absolute nightmare with a bad haircut. I need to fly my barber in.
Dude, when you get a bad one, or when you get a good one, the day of a good haircut is the best day ever, right? Trent,
It is.
I'd actually
like you said,
I'd actually say the day after a good haircut is the best day
it's not the
because
same.
it's just a little bit. Like when the day of a haircut, it's like almost too pristine. You need like a little bit of growth, and I think it looks great.
Well, see,
I
mine,
have no
it's
hair.
like,
What the fuck am I talking about?
it's like math class for me. Like I could figure out how to do it when I was in class, but then I'd get home to do homework and have no idea what we did. That's the exact same way I feel when I get a haircut. Like they do it so perfectly that first time, and then you shower and try to recreate it, and it's never the same. So I'm with Frankie on this one. The first day is the best.
Frankie's also got a decent head of hair, but he'll never show it. He wears a hat. You sleep with a hat on?
No, I don't sleep with a hat on. I just have a feminine forehead. We all know this, but I'm not the one being interviewed here.
Oh, okay.
You're really taking a hard stance on this one. A little sensitive.
I have a feminine forehead.
Whispering that is great.
Funny, like your face in that room, Frankie, with the flowers and like the white background. It's just
Yeah, it sucks. Like I wish I had better coloring and lighting in here, but it is what it is. It's draining me out. This room's a nightmare. I mean, there's flowers everywhere.
Does it smell good?
No, I think they're fake.
So, Chris, any golf on the horizon? What's next for you?
Yeah, man. I try to golf as often as I can. I joined a country club here last August, I think. And I joined because it was so hard to get tee times. When everybody was working from home, they could do whatever they wanted. I couldn't get a tee time to save my life. So I was like, I need to figure something out. I joined a country club that's like 15 minutes from my house. And it's awesome because it's filled with songwriters, artists. John Daly and Kid Rock are members out there. So it's not bad company. I remember about a month after I joined, I got invited to play in this tournament out there. And John Daly and Kid Rock were on a foursome together. And there's a spot where 4, 5, 8, and 9 kind of congregate. And so we had just finished putting on 8. John Daly's out there. He doesn't wear shoes when he plays. He'll come, he'll park his tour bus in the parking lot, sleep there, get on his cart, go play, go back to his bus, and just hang out for like 2 weeks at a time. But he just drills one right down the middle of the fairway. And I think he says something like, "I'm a fucking alien," or something like that, as he's walking off the tee box, gets in his cart and goes, this is a par 4. He goes, "All right, boys, let's go make a 2." And so seeing him play and just having that, I've gotten to play a couple of holes with him, and it's been incredible. Like that tournament, so they asked us all to play a couple of songs afterwards. And they put me right between Lee Bryce and Kid Rock, which I was like, thanks for that. And I'm playing, I get done playing my first song, and John, who's sitting in the first row, having himself a good time that whole day, he kind of walks up to me, and I lean down. He goes, play me a G. So I play a G chord. He goes, play me a D. Play a D chord. He goes, play me an A minor. Play an A minor. He goes, play me a C. Play a C. He goes, all right, keep doing that. So I keep playing that. He walks up on stage and starts singing Knockin' on Heaven's Door.
Yes.
And
yes.
And I'm just sitting there like, this is the coolest experience I think I've ever had in my life. I've had some pretty cool golf experiences that I have no business having on the golf course. And that is one of them.
That song is as much his as it is Guns N' Roses at this point. I swear, every time John Daly goes to a bar and he gets up on a stage, he plays Knockin' on Heaven's Door.
Knockin' on Heaven's Door.
It is the fucking best. It's one of my favorite running things that happens on the internet. If you ever see grainy bar footage of John Daly on a stage, you can guarantee that he's playing Knockin' on Heaven's Door.
And I was like a kid at Christmas. I mean, I was just sitting there loving every single moment. I'll send you all the video. It's hilarious. My face the whole time is just in awe.
Yeah, we need that video.
He's so good. I love that you just like listen to him verbatim. It's like, okay, those chords, do that again on repeat. You're like, yeah, sure, John. And then he just comes up and owns the stage, and you're like, this is getting better moment by moment.
Right. Well, at first I was like, shit, did I mess something up? Is he going to tell me to get off stage? And no, we just had a good old fashioned jam session.
That's great.
Man,
that is fantastic. All right, Chris. Well, look, man, congratulations. Last couple of years been awesome. We're pumped. We got to get to a show. We've had, enough musicians on now. It's been enough quarantine for the last year. We got to get to a show.
Absolutely. Anytime, boys.
We appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you, man. This was
Well,
great.
Thanks for
golf.
having me. This was awesome. Thank you so much. And hey, y'all come on down to Nashville and bring your sticks. We'll get out there.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Nashville is overdue for us. I mean, we played a match and then we left, but we got to get when Nashville is buzzing and at full capacity and rocking. We want to come to shows, play some golf, do the whole damn thing.
Absolutely. We'll get y'all on a party tractor, visit Broadway. It'll be a good time.
Oh yeah, love it.
Appreciate it, Chris. Good luck.
Awesome,
with everything.
fellas.
We'll
Thank y'all so
great.
talk
much.
soon.
We'll see y'all
Got
soon.
it.
See you, Chris.